And good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to Codebase Alpha. Here I am in the control room, and we're going to be looking today in episode 19. We're going to be going back to our Alexa skill, hopefully just for this one episode, and we're going to bring in the GraphQL work that we've been doing for the Deadstreams project over on DevChatter's stream. We're going to kind of marry the two together. So it's kind of a culmination of the previous 18 episodes, really. Our first 3 episodes we talked about the secure API, then we extended that to looking at an Alexa skill. We then moved to look at GraphQL endpoints for an API to replace REST, and now we're going to kind of bring all those kind of threads together and complete our project to create an Alexa skill. At least the initial stages of that, in that we've got kind of a couple of intents, a couple of things that you can ask the skill. So currently there's 2 things we want to be able to ask the skill. First is who's live now, and the second thing is when is my favorite streamer or streamers, when are they streaming next. So we may in future want to kind of extend those kind of queries we can ask. We might want to know, for example, who's streaming today, who's streaming tomorrow, who's streaming next week. These are kind of slightly more trickier questions to ask. We can do them with Alexa. It's just that it's not as immediate as, what's the next stream someone's going to be doing or who's live at the moment. But what we've done recently, so over the weekend, I submitted a PR to the DevChatter project, the Deadstreams project over at DevChatter, and that gave us the missing pieces of the GraphQL queries in order for us to actually integrate the Alexa endpoint that we're building in with GraphQL. So let's get started. So let's have a quick look through the code as we've got it at the moment. So this is pretty much the code that was that we left off with on our Alexa controller. So if you remember, we kind of built out an Alexa library, which is this library here, which is currently up on GitHub. So on GitHub, and it's also on NuGet, so you can download this. We're at version 0.2.5, and this is where that library comes from this project here. And we've also got our actual skill, which is this project here, the smb.alexa project, which is the skill. So this is what basically Alexa is going to make the calls into to read the database and to give the answers back, so that the Echo device can actually enunciate them back to the user. Basically what that's made up of is a controller, which is this one here, and it contains all the different kind of jigsaw pieces we've put together over the past kind of several streams. So it has some validation of and security measures to make sure that we are actually summoning this endpoint from the correct skill. So each skill has an ID, and this is basically checking that the skill ID which coming in on the request is the one we expect it to be. This skill ID is in configuration, but it's actually got out of Azure Key Vault because it's sensitive information. So we don't hold that in the app settings.json or environment variables. It was just kind of a way of investigating Azure Key Vault, really, that we got it from there. So I'm just noticed my Echo device has sprung into life. So I've got the Echo here. So what we're going to do is, when it's finished scanning, I'm going to put it into non-listening mode, but it currently is scanning around, obviously trying to find some information. I'm not quite sure what I've said to activate it, but we'll let it kind of settle down over there. Okay, so we check this skill ID. We also check that we're not subject to replay attacks. So actually, that's it. So we're back in non-listening mode at the moment. So hopefully the network, that wasn't the network connection outage that we just had, because it was spinning a blue light spinning on there. So I'm not quite sure why that was happening. As I say, we do protect ourselves against replay attacks by making sure that the time stamp within the request is no different from the current time on the server than 150 seconds. So there's that kind of leeway of 150 seconds, and this is all information which is kind of mandated by Amazon. So part of their tests when we submit this certification will be that those basic security measures are actually in place. The other part is over here in a startup, we have a conditional piece of middleware. So this is custom middleware which you wrote on stream, and it's basically validating that all the paths in the security certificates which are associated with the request are valid, and that the certificate is also valid and has a valid chain back to a root CA. So there's quite complicated stuff in there. Look back on the videos on YouTube if you want to find out about those. So I'll just post into chat. Oops, I've just posted into that file. Post into chat the YouTube channel. So do pop across to YouTube and have a look at that, and do subscribe, and then you get notification when I upload new videos to that. Okay, so what we need to do is to actually create a GraphQL endpoint and use that endpoint to actually do our queries. So the original plan for this project was to actually build this skill into the Deadstreams code base, but discussing that with Brendan, it's quite clear that that's going to be quite difficult to coordinate, in that we need to get Deadstreams kind of at least semi-live upon Azure or whatever target platform it's going to live at, and then we need to coordinate the PRs. Hey, Link Shrimps, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, I know you've been across on Dev Chat. Is he still going? So hopefully some people from over there will join us soon. So yeah, welcome to the stream. Do follow if you're not a follower already. That helps me out and also gives you notifications of when the stream's going to happen. So the Wednesday stream has been cancelled because I've got you're a follower already. Cool, and Dev Chat is still going. Okay, Link Stumps, so thanks very much for that. As I was saying, that the Wednesday stream has been cancelled due to family commitments, but I'm going to try and sneak another kind of stream in, and I'm not sure when it will be or if it happened at all. So if you're a follower, they should get notification of that. Also, pop over to Twitter and follow me on Twitter, and you'll get notification of any changes over there. So I'll just put my Twitter thing in there. So at Codebase Alpha. So do that if you want to stay informed, especially this week when there's going to be some changes. You're not on Twitter, Link Slumps? Yeah. So I've only been on Twitter for a couple of months since I started streaming, and I'm not on Facebook or Instagram or those things. So I only use Twitter really for kind of publicising the stream and also keeping in touch with various space-oriented Twitter streams that happen. Things like I'm a big kind of fan of SpaceX, so I'm kind of linking with that, and also some fellow streamers keep in touch with their streams. But yeah, I mean, give it a go. Why not? It's it's an interesting thing to be on. I can see why people get addicted to it, but I'm really trying not to kind of get a slave to it. So yeah, no problem with getting the Deadstreams thing working, Link Slumps. I'm glad you got it working, and I will look at your other commits up on GitHub at some point. So I can't promise exactly when I'll do that, but we'll try to get around that. But do say kind of post into Dev Chatter's Discord any questions you have, and we'll try and answer as best we can. You've changed your name. Yes. Well, I don't mind. That's a good idea, I think. Yes. It's yeah. I don't really kind of tend to publicize my name on stream really, but everyone knows what it is. But you know, so I do stream as Codebase Alpha. Tend to kind of do moderation and lurk in people's streams as SMP. Pure Snable, welcome. You missed the start. Yeah, don't worry, we haven't done it yet. We're still in the control room, just really just chatting about chatting about the code we're in. So let's just pop over to the code, because I've been talking about the code and forgotten actually you can't see it. So let's just, what we'll do is start some relaxed daily music. Let's get some background music going. Hopefully that'll start in a second. And let's pop over to the code. So here we are in the Alexa controller. And I say what we've done is we've gone back to the kind of standalone code. Actually, my music isn't playing. So let's see why that is. Is it going to start? Come on. How strange. Can you hear it? Okay. I think I've figured out why. Anyone want to guess why I can't hear it? I can hear it now. Yeah, well, what's happening is I didn't have my headphones plugged in, which is a classic, isn't it, really? There we go. Okay, so we've got some background music and we can kind of relax into some code. As I was saying, the original plan was to kind of build all this into the Deadstreams code, but we're not going to do that anymore. Having discussed this with Brendan, we're going to keep the two projects slightly separate, and I'm going to go back to the original code base we had, which is the SMB Alexa skill. So you remember that we did a kind of test fit with Deadstreams and got it all working in there, but that was accessing all the data through kind of Dapper calls basically, and we're going to actually use GraphQL to do that. Now we've got the GraphQL endpoint in, and we've got the PR that went in over the weekend. Okay, so first thing we need to do is bring the GraphQL Client library into our project. So let's do that. So we go to NuGet. We want to browse for GraphQL .client. Let's see what it comes back with there. And this is what we want. So we want the client software. I will install that. Okay. So there we go. We've got our NuGet package installed. And then we want to pop over to our app settings.json file, and we're going to need to have an endpoint defined in here. So links lumps. This is 2019. Yes, Visual Studio 2019. So I think it's version 16.0.2, which is the very latest RTM version. It's not preview or anything like that. It's just the standard one. The buttons you just pushed are broken on 2017. Which buttons are those? Links lumps. So I don't quite follow. Anyway, let's get into this. So in here we want to have we want Deadstreams, and we'll have GraphQL endpoint. And that is going to be, so if we go over to Edge, we've got this is my version of the Deadstream site running up in Azure. We've got a address for that here. Okay, so let's go back to our app.settings.json, and it's going to be GraphQL, which is the standard endpoint for GraphQL. So it could be changed. You can change that, but I happen to know that that's where we've got it. And in my dev version of Deadstreams, which is running up in Azure, that's what it is. So links importing directly from the dependencies don't work. Right? Okay. Well, maybe we'll kind of explore something around that. And then links if you want to look at that, pop it on off stream. I'm pretty sure there's nothing that I'm doing in 2019 that didn't work in 2017. Can't think of anything. to do with this project anyway, or Deadstreams. Anyway, okay. So now we've got an endpoint. We need to actually create a client. So let's create a folder in here, and we'll call it clients. If we can spell. So one of the links, if you haven't been in one of my streams before, then spelling is one of the kind of big issues I have. Okay, so we're going to create a client, and this is going to be, we need to add a class into here, and it's going to be channel graph client. So it's a GraphQL client, and it's to do with channels. Yeah, spelling is tough. I find it very tough on stream. Okay, so there we go. So we got our new class, and we're going to need to kind of inherit now. So what we need to do with this is to so I've got some notes here to make sure I don't go too far off plan, but we may get kind of pulled off plan. Okay, so we're going to have a public constructor on this. So public channel graph client. Is it audio levels okay? Can you hear me okay? I can adjust this. Ancient Coder, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Good. It's good. The audio is good. Thank you very much. I do, because I'm working with OBS for the first time really. Entity Adam, thank you for joining the stream. Working with OBS really kind of for the, I think this is the third stream. Then I do worry that the audio is different how I'm used to having it. So we're taking a GraphQL client. Okay, let's fix up the fix up the usings for that. So the namespaces, bring that namespace in, and all we're going to do then is I should be able to. No, we didn't want to add parameter. That's it. We want to just do client equals client, and in there we can generate a read-only field. Okay. Right. So we've got our basic client. So what we need to do now is define some methods we want to use on this client. Entity Adam, you're happy to be here. Thanks for stream. Well, thank you for joining. I'd probably stream if nobody was here. To be honest, I do enjoy it. I find it's quite addictive. So do give it a go. I kind of resisted for a long time, and eventually kind of just bit the bullet and started. And yeah, it's quite addictive, and it's liberating because I think you're quite free to make lots of errors and things, and that's really kind of part of the experience as the viewer of a live coding stream, is to kind of watch people make some mistakes or get into difficulty and then get out of it. Hopefully at least get out of it. I think there's been one case where at the end of the stream I hadn't quite solved the problem, and I think within 30 minutes of closing the stream I found out what the problem was. Twitch in general is quite addictive. Yes, it is. Yes, ask my wife about that. I kind of spent a lot of time watching coding streams or having them on the background, which is quite fun really. Sometimes with the sound turned down, and just kind of glance across just to see what's going on. So you don't have a lot of time, Entity Adam, but you were thinking of doing an hour of streaming a week called Fundamental Fridays, and that'd be a really good thing to do. So what subjects would you do? What languages and what kind of type of coding would your Fundamental Fridays be? Because I think one of the things that's kind of missing from regular streaming is some kind of not exactly learn to code, but some basic stuff. We have special events that happen every now and again, but nobody kind of does fundamentals consistently. This stream is is meant to be beginner friendly in that we do write a lot of the stuff right from scratch. So we wrote our own Alexa library from first principles. We said we got our own NuGet package, but we obviously can't always do that. So yeah, so you need to convince your wife. Yeah, I understand. I understand that. So you said that you're interested in language agnostic concepts, C# and F#. So yeah, I mean, some more F# would be brilliant. Yeah, wonderful. So F#, yeah. I have dabbled in F#. I wrote a very kind of slimmed down Slack library in F#. It's on the GitHub. It's just the basics. I could actually run my Slack bot from it in F#, which is quite cool. But anyway, okay. So we need to define what methods we're going to have on this client. And so there's two things we really want to do. We want to be able to find out who's live now. That's the first thing we want to do. Let's create another folder called interfaces. Okay, so we've got interfaces, and we're going to create an interface which is going to be our channel client interface. So we'll add a new item. It's going to be an interface, and it's going to be called iChannel client. Okay, so we'll make that public, and so what we want, so we'll make them asynchronous. So we'll need to get a task, and the task is going to be okay. So we need what I'm going to do before we define the interface. I think we're going to have to kind of create our models, and I'm not going to create all these from scratch because we already created them over in Deadstreams. But we're going to kind of recreate them over here, so they don't kind of reuse that code. And the reason for that is that I don't want to be dependent necessarily on that code base for the moment, at least. So we're going to create a class, and this is going to be channel model. Okay. So if I just I've got over here, on the other screen, I've got all of the code for Deadstreams, and up in the client GraphQL, I've got got a models area, and I'm just going to drag in all of the properties for that. So this is simple. It's a simple data transfer type object. Now we need to create all the rest of them, so let's just build them up. So we need a Twitch model. So we'll add that. In fact, what we'll do is do it down here. So this is Twitch model. I don't need a constructor. And for the Twitch model, I'll just grab the code from Deadstreams. That's there, and let's just push that into its own file. Okay, and we've got stream session model. So this is basically the same kind of objects that we've got over in GraphQL on the Deadstreams project, but we just putting the word model after it. So stream session model. So it's just to differentiate them really. Let's grab that code. So if you want to observe these being created in their original form, just grab one of the video on demands in Twitch, which should be there for 60 days since their broadcast date, or go over to YouTube and do subscribe on YouTube. Let's move that. Okay, what else? We need scheduled stream model. Let's grab that. I can't see chat at the moment because I've got this other window open on the other screen. So if you're asking questions or making comments, I'll get back to you very shortly, as soon as we've copied all these across. That's that one. Move that into its own file, and then we've got tag model as the last one. Tag model. Okay, once again we don't need a constructor, and tag model over here is just these three fields. Okay, and once again we'll just push that across to its own file. Okay, so we've got our model. So this is what we're going to use to bring back the data from the GraphQL endpoint. So now we can go back to our iChannel client, and we want channel model here. So task of channel model, and it's going to be get channel by name, and we're going to pass into there. We're going to pass into there a string, which is the channel name, and we can also pass in a string, which is the user time zone. Okay, and we need to just bring that namespace in. So I'll just close this screen down. So okay, so Ace Flames here. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. So Linkslump says in Jeff Chatter's model, channels Twitch attaches to Twitch channel. Yeah, so it's the same kind of thing really. So what happens there is you can see here it's a one-to-one relationship, Twitch model. So it's exactly the same. The structure is identical. I think he might actually have he might have more properties on the Twitch side. So at the moment on Twitch side we've got just these. I think there might be a description. I'm not quite sure. Rambling Geek, welcome. Good to see you. How does he know that the Twitch attribute on the channel model is actually Twitch ID? People have to enter them. It might not be. If people enter rubbish, it'll just be rubbish. But people are supposed to kind of set up their data themselves. So there's nothing kind of magical about it. Okay, so report from Norway from Fuel Snable. It's 10:30 and it's still light. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I think it's pretty much dark here. I think certainly seems quite dark. Okay. Anyway, we've got our channel model set up, and we've got well, I've just closed it, haven't I? We've got our first element to the interface. The other thing we want to do is to get a list of live streams. So this is going to be a task which is going to return a list of channel model, and it's going to be get live channels, and we don't need to we need to pass in. We could pass in the user's time zone into that. And though the reason why we can do that is we might want to actually publish more information about the channel that's live. not just the fact it's live, which is what the Alexa device will say that so and so is live, but maybe on the little screen that some devices have, or your app has for Alexa, then it will have a maybe produce some more information. Okay, bring that namespace in. So those are our two, for the moment at least, our two methods we need to implement. So we're going to have our channel graph client implement iChannel client like that, and bring that missing namespace in. Okay, so let's actually get to implement that. So there we are. So I think what we'll do is we'll implement the get live channels first, I think. Okay. Now, if you've watched the, I'm just going to have a glug of wine at this point. So cheers to everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you remember back to when we actually created the client in the Alexa test fit portion of no, it wasn't then. It was when we created the test client in the Deadstreams GraphQL streams. We kind of build up a query, and it's a GraphQL request is the type. So what we need to do is have a query, which is going to be a new GraphQL request. GraphQL request. Like that. So let's bring that namespace in. Okay. And this there's a couple of properties on a GraphQL request object. The first is a query, and so we're going to set up a query. And the second one is a variables, and we need some variables, and this is what's going to be passed in. So basically it's going to be the user time zone. So this is going to be a new anonymous object. So if you've used the where we dealt with Dapper, it's very similar, and it's going to be time zone is going to be equal to user time zone. So we'll leave. So we need to define our query next. In order to set our query up, we're going to go across to Deadstreams. So if you've joined us either coming directly from the DevChatter stream, or if DevChatter joins us later, then you'll be very familiar with this site, which is what DevChatter is building over there. Brendan's been working on this site for quite a long time now, and it's getting really into a state when it gets usable. So hopefully we'll have a kind of a version of it live at some point very soon. And on this site we have a UI playground, where we can set up our queries and practice them. Okay, so here's a basic query. What channels are live at the moment? If I click query, it says there are no channels live at the moment, which is not quite correct, is it? There we go. So DevChatter and Codebase Alpha are live. So remember, it only brings back information about live channels that are in the Deadstreams database, and currently we only have 6 or 7 streams in the database. So if one of those isn't live, so if Clarkio's live, I'm not sure if Clarkio's in there, it would bring him up as well. But if I don't know if the Michael Jolly was live and he's not in the database, he won't come back in the query. So don't worry that they're not at all there. Okay, so what we can do, we can name our query. So get live channels. It's going to be this query. So you can see it doesn't have any material effect on the results at all. get live channel. So I'm just thinking that yes, we should be okay. So currently only bringing the name back. And what else have we got on here? We can just explore what we've got. We've got a URI, which might be useful. And what else have we got? We've got a country code. And we might want to bring the schedule back as well. For the schedule, we can actually pass in a time zone. Like that. So can't you forget? You really forget how this all works. So let's just get some queries up here. $TZ. It's in quotes. $TZ. And that's going to be Europe, London. I might have to check all this up, so maybe that isn't in quotes. And we'll bring back what have we got on here? Day of week, local start time, local end time, and time zone. Okay, so we can complain about here. Variable TZ is not defined by operation get live channels. So I think we need to have here $TZ, then it's string exclamation mark. So capital S for string. So this is a string variable, and it's the exclamation mark means it's mandatory. So we've got to have supply one. I think this is in quotes. I'm pretty sure it is in quotes. $TZ. Let's give it a go. No, value received and null input. Maybe it's just TZ. Oh, you do forget these things. Okay, we're going to have to go and have a look at an example. So let's GraphQL.net client. Graph.net QL. Let's see what that says. I do apologise that I do forget these the details of this. Okay, so variables. So it's no dollar. Looks like it. Oh, there is the dollar there. And pass the value in. So that's right. So we got okay. So time zone is where are we? Time zone is $TZ, and we just need to figure this out, don't we? Is it $TZ? There we go. There we go. And that should work now. No, there we go. It has worked. Okay, so what this is doing, if you haven't followed along in previous episodes, is it's bringing back this schedule. That's interesting. It's bringing back the schedule currently in their streamer's time zone there, isn't it? So what it should be doing is converting that. Why isn't that working? Interesting. The time zone should be TZ. Anyway, why isn't that working? Wine to the rescue. Let's go and have a look at the code. I've obviously made an error somewhere. This is all part of it, isn't it? It's something that doesn't seem to react properly, and we need to go back and have a look at the code and see why. So over in our GraphQL, we've got our types, our channel type. So this is the kind of definition of what a channel looks like in the GraphQL format. You can see that we've got schedule that takes in a time zone, and it should convert the results into the time zone that I pass in. So where's it doing that? So we're going in here into schedule, and we're getting the time zone argument, and we are then going into our data loader pattern, and we're calling get scheduled streams. So get scheduled streams is our func there that's being passed in our delegate, and here we do the conversion. So the time zone should be equal to what we pass in, and it's obviously not. It's not coming back. It's coming back in the original time zone here. So I'm passing something in incorrectly. Which is a bit of a mystery, to be perfectly frank with it. America _ new_York. I'm not going to get too bogged down in this. This isn't going to work for me. So it's not. I'm mystified, viewers, to be honest, because this is all working code. Wasn't even going to worry about this code. So there's something wrong with my query, I think. Maybe that should be $1. Doesn't like that, you see. It's not the right thing. TZ is what it wants. Okay, well let's not get bogged down in that. Let's just grab this query and then we'll try it in our own code over here. So here's the query. Let's pop it into here. Just kind of format this a bit. Strictly speaking, we don't need the schedule, you see, so I'm wondering whether to worry about it too much. But it ought to work. I know there's better ways of formatting things, don't worry about it. Okay. That should be TZ. Okay. So we got our channel, we got our query. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Just to start off with, let's not have any variables. Let's not bring back the schedule. Let's just bring back that information. So say which channels are live, and what the name, what the URI is, and what their logic error somewhere. Link stumps. Yeah, we'll solve that in a bit. Let's just get a query working, and I can kind of get a bit more confidence that we're actually on the right lines here, because I'm a bit confused. That should just work. We've been working on that for several weeks. So let's get a response back from our query. So this is going to be it's an asynchronous call to our client, and on there we're going to use a post method to send this data off. So we're going to post that off, post our query off. Okay, so we need to mark this as async, and then we've done this kind of stuff before. If response.errors response.errors is null, then we can return response dot get data fields as channel model, and that will do all the mapping for us automatically. And the query we are going to put into there is going to be live channels. It's going to be a list of it's going to be a list, isn't it? Just check my notes on that, because I did make a note of what the return type was supposed to be. Yeah, it's a list of channel model. So that's live channels, and this is a list. One of the things that you find when you do live streaming is that you do need, well, I find anyway, you need to make a few notes, because otherwise you spend ages kind of flailing around. So the notes I've got really are fairly basic. They're kind of a running order and a few kind of code points to make sure I remember to do them. So return types is one of the things I do make a note of. So if we don't return there, then we're going to get an error, and the error is the response dot errors, not the first error, so you can get multiple errors back. We only want the first, and then we're going to throw a new GraphQL exception, a GraphQL error, sorry, capital L, and that is going to be the message so I need to bring that in. Message is going to be equal to and that's going to be error.message. Error.message, come on, where are you? Oh, dear me. Particularly bad tonight, aren't we? So we can put something like that in there. Okay. So we need to try catch around that, don't we? We're going to catch it later. Okay, so this is a GraphQL exception, I thought so. And it's of type. Yeah, that's better. Wondered what we got some squigglies for, so then we need to just bring the namespace in for that. Okay, so it's starting to come back a bit now. Okay. Okay, we need to go and adjust our interface briefly, so we just not bring a string in. We'll come back and do that once we've got something actually to show for our work. Brandonius, hi there. 31 views, thank you. I did not get an alert for that raid. I'm very, very sorry, raiders. I did just miss that completely. So I'm a bit concerned about why I didn't get a raid alert there. So welcome everyone from the Deadstreams work you've been doing over on DevChatter. This is a continuation. So yeah, so if I show you what we've got up here, you'll see that we've got a GraphQL endpoint. So one thing that I don't know if you could have a look at this, Brendan, for me on your system, because I'm passing a time zone in here. At least I think I'm passing a time zone in, but I'm not getting it convert to the user's time zone when I'm passing it in. I'm doing something wrong here, and I don't know what it is. I can't quite see what the issue is. That looks to be the kind of thing we've done a lot of. In fact, what we can do, we can get rid of these elements here. We can just say time zone is equal to Europe/London, like that, and run that query. And it's still not doing it, so I'm a bit of a loss about what's changed, and that query is not converting to local time zones. Did I debug check it's made it into GraphQL? Well, this is it's bringing back data. So I can't exactly we could run it up actually down here. So let's run it up locally, because that was my Azure version there. Parameter ignored by the server. Yeah, it's not time zone I do now. It's time zone is what we need to pass in. So go to the playground and our local instance of it all. There's live channels. That's bringing back our channels here. If I put time zone of Europe/London in there, it's not doing it. Which is very strange. So let's pop a so we're going to be going on a tangent now. I'm very sorry about this, but I guess it'd be a good idea to figure this out. Okay, so here we are on schedule. Here's scheduled stream. So here is where we need to do that. So there's time zone. Time zone is Europe London. So if we go off to here, put a breakpoint in there and continue. Okay, time zone is Europe London. Don't recognise this code. Oh, I see. Yes, it's just saying that it's we're not already in that time zone. Oh, it's doing it, isn't it? Time zone ID. That's interesting. There's a logical error there, isn't there? There's a logic error. That should be not equal, shouldn't it? Stream's not in the time zone. Let's just run that again. That just seems wrong, doesn't it? Let's whack that there. This has been working though, Brendan, hasn't it? So I'm just very confused. Very confused. I'm so confused. Don't know where I am. Here we go. So continue from there. Maybe not in time zone. So there's my stream, but it is in the time zone. So let's just try reversing the logic. And continue and have a look. That's better. So oh no, because you're no longer live. So let's just change that to channels. So that is now working, isn't it? So for some reason that logic has got swapped around, which I find really strange. So what I'll do is I'll put a PR in to fix that bug. Yeah, so something really weird going on there. I'm not quite sure what's happened. But in order to sort ourselves out, let's stop that, and let's just publish this up to Azure, so we don't suffer from that problem. Where is it? Publish. I don't know whether to do a PR, whether you should just fix that. What was the best? I'll do a PR, shall I? It's the easiest way of doing it, isn't it? I can't understand that, because that's all working and tested. Let's try this again now. UI again. So let's put time zone of America and New York in there. Push that through, and now we do get these times coming through in New York time. So this is today's stream, and it's 4 till 6 in New York. Is that correct, Brendan? So it should be kind of 5 o'clock there now. Okay, so we got that fixed. Very strange. So I'll do a PR and send it over. Probably in the morning, if not this evening. Okay, so let's go back and after that complete distraction, let's go back. Let's just close that down now. Let's go back to our query. So we can now put string user time zone back to there, and back over here. What we'll take in a string of use the time zone. And yeah, variables. It's going to be a new anonymous object. Time zone equals use the time zone. TZ. Okay, I've spelt it wrong again. Okay, and then in here we had schedule, and that would be $TZ, and here we're going to get dev week. This is where spelling mistakes are a problem. Local start time and local end time, and we can actually get rid of that comma. We don't have commas, and we can bring all these onto one line, so it's a bit neater. Let's just double check this code. It looks okay. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so now we can go across to our startup class. What's the best way of doing this? We'll start off with we'll do it in the most expedient way possible first, and then we'll fix it up so it's a bit more kind of neat. Okay, so let's have a private read-only channel, so channel client of channel client, as opposed to our Alexa client, which is this one here. So channel client, we need to bring that in, and down here we'll say channel client is going to be a new channel graph client. We're going to pass something into that. Let's get our test client from our previous program. So we need to create a new sorry, it's not read-only at this stage. We're going to make it read-only and pass it into injection, but we'll get it working in the simplest possible way first. So endpoint, we'll also put all this into configuration. So are we passing config in at the moment? Yeah, we are. So this is going to be underscore config, and I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think I'm just tired tonight. I don't know what it is. It's been quite a hot day and a hot weekend, in fact, and getting to sleep has been quite a problem. We're not used to it. Used to being so hot. So what did I call it over in app settings? So we called it Deadstreams GraphQL endpoints. GraphQL endpoints. Let's just grab it directly out of here. There we go. And we're going to create a new GraphQL client. Yes, so new GraphQL GraphQL Client and pass in the endpoint. Okay, so we've got our channel client now. And okay, so what happens is we come in here, we create our channel client, and then we get when we ask our Echo device a question, that is interpreted as an intent. It comes from the Alexa software into our endpoint, and basically we're looking for an intent request. So this is one of these custom requests. So it's not a launch request, it's not an end of session request. It's going to be interpreted as one of the intent types we've set up in the Alexa skill kit, and so it's now going to call out to the intent request handler, and that's down here. And basically we have two custom intents, the when next intent and the who is live intent. So this is what we're going to be testing, the who is live intent. That's going to go off to the who is live response handler, and this is where we need to write our code. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to pass in to our responses a list of live channels, and then we're going to return the response. And the response, oops, dear me, return response. We'll have a look at the responses class in a moment. But Glorious, thank you very much for the follow. So I got that alert. I wonder why I didn't get the raid alert. That's very, so thank you very much for the follow. That's really, really kind of you, McGlorious. Every follow is very much appreciated. So thank you so much. So we want to await this. So we need to. Okay, we need to figure out how to get live channels. So live channels, when we pass that in there, is responses. So we're going to come back and fix all this code up. This is all ready for the stream. It's going to be just a list, I believe, of string at the moment. So we'll make this a list of channel model. Right, yep. And then we can go back to our controller and we can say channel client dot get live channels, and we're going to pass in the user's time zone. So we determine the time zone here. So this is where we're making use of one of the features of the Alexa skill kit is we can actually reach out to the device configuration, so your individual Echo or your app's configuration, and find out what time zone you set it up in. Obviously it relies upon you setting up the correct time zone, but otherwise it should be fine. So that was underscore user time zone. Now down here we should be able to pass that into there. So we get our channel. So now we can say our live channels is equal to that, and we'll need to make this. We just don't have to await that, do we? It's not an async. The live channels. This is bringing back. We have to await this one. We can make this async and we await this. Then we get here a list of channel model, and this is a list of channel model. Hi there, Chris. Welcome. Ramblin' Geek, you tempted to buy a new keyboard, mechanical keyboard. I bought a mechanical keyboard for work up in the office, and it's great. It's a Corsair. It's not a very expensive one. It's a lot better than this one I'm typing here. It's a spongy kind of generic. I don't know. It's not even got a name on it. Not branded or anything. So I'm also tempted to get another mechanical keyboard, but I want a small one for down here. The one upstairs is quite big. It's also got kind of glowy LEDs and things on it. I don't want it quite as flash as that down here. So this is cannot convert system generic list SMB Alexa models to system generic list channel models. Channel model, why not? So what's this bringing back? That's a list of channel model. Oh, I've just got to type. I haven't got the namespace. That's why. There we go. We're happy. Okay. So we publish this and see what happens. Let's do make sure we build. We don't. Okay. ISO day of week. So we're missing node of time, aren't we? So let's bring node of time into this as well. So ISO day of week and instant are node of time types. So we need to bring those in. Browsing node of time. There we go, node of time. Let's install that. And those should go away for us. Rebuild. Oops. We need to bring a bit of using into this, don't we? There we go. That should be happy now. Rebuild. Ramblin' Geek, yes, you're a VIP, very important person on the Codebase Alpha stream. I think yeah, you've supported me. I hope I've kind of give you some support back. It's great to the community, the live coding community is just astonishes me. So I'm very happy to make you a VIP and also to support your stream when I can. And same with every other kind of every other live coding streamer really. As long as they're kind of, I think there was some discussion over on Live Coders today about this. Is that there's some kind of key aspects about being a live coder, and it's being inclusive, being welcoming, being helpful, being respectful. Those kind of things, those kind of key values that we want to make sure that that we kind of espouse, and we kind of try and build community. And we also have fun. I think that's the other thing, is that people have different kind of focuses. All the streams are very different. Some have hardware focus, some have kind of a lot more chat kind of focus on them. I like to have kind of more kind of coding on mine. But the idea is really just to kind of to enjoy coding and to learn new stuff and to and to have a good time. And I think your stream particularly is so charming and laid back and just wonderful. Really, I really do enjoy it. One of my favourite streams. Okay, so we're building. Let's publish this up to Azure. So because this has been asleep, this particular endpoint's been asleep for a long time, I think we're going to have some fun with the echo not responding very promptly. So but we'll bear with it. So I've got my echo device here, and we'll just wait until we get. There we go. So we got a process failure. Wonderful. Is anything going to go right for me today? So I don't understand what it means. AMC in process start failure. Does anyone have any idea what that actually means? Because I've come across it a couple of times, but this code has been running successfully in Azure. So I'm just going to move my Azure stuff off screen and see if there's anything in the logs. So let's give it another go. What I'm going to do is, I'm sorry you can't see this, I'm going to restart the app. Okay, and then we're just going to try going to, not that one, https:// Alexa. Go to there. So this, honestly viewers, before the stream started, I checked that this worked, and it's decided not to. Ho hum. So what is going on? You can run it here. It doesn't run here either, it doesn't run locally. The application threw an exception during startup. So what have I changed on the startup? Let's go and have a look. Oh. Why do you think that's not there anymore? It's just still, I don't think I made any changes to startup. Oh, weird. Okay, well let's try starting it again. Still got that process failure. Okay, fair enough. In process start failure. Oh, has anyone seen it before? because I'm a bit mystified. It started, but so it says registered identity twice. It's a duplicate entity problem, but not saying I think if I had some bad JSON in it. Ah, okay, well there we go, bad JSON. So, Chris, you think you've seen it before, you can't remember the cause. It looks like it's bad JSON. That wouldn't surprise me because I did change the app settings.json. I probably made a stupid error in there. At least Stack Overflow then they're giving us somewhere to look. I didn't didn't quite anticipate running into a trouble then. So let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. We got invalid stuff here, haven't we? So let's just simplify it, shall we? And then we can do it properly. Deadstreams. So that's a good one. That is a very good one. There we go. Now it's happy. So that's that error. Bad JSON, and it did have a squiggly. It was telling me. Let's just publish that now. I'm glad that hasn't derailed us for a long period of time. Stack Overflow, it's fantastic when you find the actual cause. The number of times I see Stack Overflow discussions and it ends with, "Don't worry, I fixed it," and they don't tell you how they fixed it. Okay, so that's now working. So if we go to our API values, which is just our dummy endpoint, we should get value 1, value 2, which we do. So we're working. Okay, so now we can bring over our friend here, and we'll try asking it a question about who is streaming. Alexa, ask live coding who is streaming right now.
None of the streamers in my database are currently broadcasting.
Okay, so that's wrong, isn't it? Because we've actually got me. So let's just check what our query is actually bringing back. So let's go over to our Deadstreams site. Over to the playground. And what we'll do is just recreate our query. So let's just bring this all back where we want to be. We don't want that, or that, or that. We want our query here. Pardon me. And we want this query. Write it there. Okay, and we've got down here, we want TZ, and that's going to be, we'll put America / New York in. Well, that comes back with me, so it should, that query is correct, so it should come back with Codebase Alpha is currently live. So let's find out. Alexa, ask live coding who is live now.
smv.alexa.models.channel model is broadcasting now.
Okay, so that actually did work. But we actually haven't finished coding, so let's. So what I've done is I've forgotten before when we were using this method, this response, we were actually bringing in a list of strings, if you remember, and I changed it to a list of channel models. So we need to kind of fix that. So and this is going to take first few. So we need to take the name. So live channel name. So we need the name out of here. Live channels dot select and it was is that right? We've got a list of channel models. So we got our live channels. And we want to select. Why can't we select our channel name? Sorry, links to yes, this is an echo. Yes, it's the big well, the kind of medium size echo. This one, it was I got it on but when this is a Model 2, so when it first launched, they kind of reduced the price on them. So that's why I got that. Yeah. Okay, I can see what this is. This is all a bit odd. I just want the name. So live channels. This is coming in as a list. Here it is a list. Why can't I select data out of that list? We haven't got link in, have we? Have we got link in? We got link in here? There we have. Am I being daft? Tell me if I'm being daft, someone. I thought I could just select what I want from here. I'm obviously being daft. So I just want a list of strings, just want a list of channel name. I must be kind of losing my mind here, because why can't you select? Projects each element of a sequence into a new form. That's really weird. When I used C, it didn't work. Now it does. Oh, that's just completely bizarre. Oh, I don't understand that. So we'll. This should be a links to strings now, which it is. That's completely bizarre. Let's just go and put channel names everywhere. Oops, channel names. Let's see. There. Okay. What a bizarre thing to happen. I've not seen that before. I mean, lots of bizarre things happened today. So let's push that up to Azure and try again. What's the time? 10:30. I should be able to complete what we need to complete today. Yeah, links some. So I don't. Well, I've never quite seen that before. Okay, so let's try again. Alexa, ask live coding who is live now.
Codebase Alpha is broadcasting now.
There we go, so that's working. Just switch the echo off. Let's do the second part of what we wanted to do today, which is to wire up the other query. This query was when you ask about a particular streamer. Yes, so we need to go to our GraphQL client. So basically, we want something very similar to this. So let's just grab the whole of the method and just reproduce it. Okay, so this one is actually going to be just getting a single channel back, and it was get what did we call it? It's over in our interface. It was called get channel by name, and it was a string of name and time zone. And we've already got one down here which we can get rid of. Okay, so we're already async. We need to now build up our query. It's not going to be live channels anymore. It's going to be another query, and part of the as part of the PR that went into Deadstreams over the weekend, there was as well as this live channels query, there's also a channel soundx query. Let's go and have a look at that in the playground. So here we are. So this will be get channel, we'll call it, and instead of live channels, it was channel soundx. So what this is going to do is going to get our channel, and it's going to basically do a sound alike match in the database. So the API is going to make the call in the other side in the database. It's going to say, give me the best match to what the string is we're going to pass in. And we do this method because speech, when we turn speech into text, it may get the spelling slightly wrong. So we use the SQL Server soundx function to actually sort that out. So we want Plins, thank you very much for the follow. Wonderful. I'm very, very grateful. So we're heading towards our goal now. So all follows are really, really appreciated. So thank you very much, Plins. Where were we? We want dollar name, which is going to be a string, exclamation point. Down here we're going to have this is going to be name. So what we can put in here is def chatter. So obviously it's something that sounds a bit like dev chatter. Plins, well, welcome to the stream. I don't know how long you've been with us, but do welcome. It's been a funny old stream today. I think I'm just overly tired, and Mike's 1337 is now following. Thank you very much, Mick or Mike. Thank you. I guess the 1337 is has a meaning. Is it elite? I'm a bit of a noob on all this kind of stuff, but I guess it is. So Mixer, thank you very much for the. It's Mike, is it Mike? Okay. Welcome to the stream, and thank you very, very much for the follow. It's wonderful to get the follows, and it does help me out quite a lot. So thanks very much. Let's put time zone in there. So next, and we need name is going to be dollar name in there. So this should bring back dev chatter, even though we're passing in def chatter as the name, and we do get dev chatter. So we can kind of experiment how bad this can be and put 2 F's in there, and it should still come back because that's going to be soundex equivalent. The old joke is it's cheddar, not chatter. So we get, and we still get it even with def cheddar. And the ultimate one is def cheddar. I think it fails with def cheddar, but no, it just doesn't get it with that one, but it almost gets it, doesn't it? Def cheddar comes back with dev chatter. So this is the query we want. Let's grab that and just pop over to here. So this is our get channel by name, and we want to pop that query in there. So get channel soundex, and we've got a name and a time zone this time. So and so we want to say name equals name, and we don't actually need name, but we can just pass in name. Okay. So that's that. So that's just going to bring us back a single channel, and rather than live channels, it's actually channel soundex is the root query we're executing. So there we go. That should then bring us back a single channel, or no channels at all. Okay, so let's go back to our Alexa controller, and here we're going to be calling our soundex query. So here we're going to say channel is equal to the channel query, the channel client dot get channel by name, and here we're going to pass in this standardized channel name. So it's basically the channel name when any spaces are removed, any full stops are removed. So Plins, you want to ask how old I am? I'm fast approaching 60. So I'm at the moment I'm 57. Why is that? Is it particularly interesting? I don't know if I'm the oldest, coldest coding streamer on Twitch. I don't know. But I mean, coded in many languages over many years. and it's always a great challenge. I just love coding. So I don't know what you said there, Plins. you got timed out. So I didn't quite see what your response was. But I'm afraid I've got Nightbot kind of wrapped up to the absolute maximum for security, because I haven't got any moderators in the channel. It's just me, and I do kind of spend a lot of time kind of concentrating on the code and just only occasionally glancing across. So Lucas, I've not seen you in the chat before, but welcome. You want to explain how this part works? Using an API to fix an incorrect transcription from ask. What's the API? Okay, so obviously with the Alexa skill kit, you're not going to get especially with Twitch channel names, it's difficult to get an exact transcription. So if someone says dev chatter, dev is notoriously transcribed as def, and other kind of names are more complicated. So I don't know. This Lucky Number Slevin is one of the streamers. Clarkio, Instafluff. It often gets them quite accurate, but there's no guarantee it's going to be exact match. So what we do, that channel name appears in one of these slots. This is a slot, and an intent is like a variable, so it kind of fills in what it thinks the user said into a slot, and the slot is called channel. So for example, if I said dev chatter, and or let's say I said code base alpha, that's 3 words, it would have code space base alpha in that channel, and that's not going to match. Code base alpha was all one word, so we start off by simply removing spaces and any full stops. We remove full stops because you might actually want to spell the name. You want to say DEVCHATTER, in which case it will put full stops in. So say it transcribed dev chatter as def cheddar, just as we did over here. What we need to be able to do, so here's def cheddar. What we need to be able to do is match that with the closest sound-alike match in the database. And SQL Server comes with a soundex function, and what that does, it basically removes spaces, removes vowels, and it then kind of creates a numerical score for the sounds, the phonemes within the word you said, and then we also kind of convert dev chatter into phonemes, and it kind of does that that kind of scoring against the two, and we take the best match. So how that works across in the Deadstreams project, if I bring let me see, if I bring the code across, I submitted a PR over the weekend to add this soundex query into the Deadstreams API. So it is over in Dapper, and it's channel search. So if I bring this across, this is VS Code. Okay, so this is what we added over the weekend. So it's get channel soundex. What it's doing is getting the top one from channels where the soundex of the name is equal to the soundex of the standardized channel name, which we're passing in. Then it's ordering that list of results by the difference between the two values, descending. So what this is going to say is the best one will be the top one, and we take the top. So def cheddar and dev chatter, they will kind of have a scored match, so it might be anywhere from 0 to 4, whatever, and so we get the best match. The 4 would be bubbled to the top, and we grab that top one. I don't know if that kind of explains it. We're basically using the functions within the SQL Server database to get the best sounds like match, and that really kind of smooths out any kind of discrepancies between the transcription that Alexa skill kit actually makes from your voice, especially if you've got an accent like mine. I've got a kind of West Midlands accent, so that's very different from, say, an American accent or a Scottish accent or whatever. So it kind of smooths out those differences. So Fuel Snable, you said actually we discussed the other day how we older devs will be able to keep seen to be relevant. Where I live, the pension is going up, so I guess it's going to be around 75ish when you retire. Yeah, it's going to be late 60s for me, I think. I think there's a slight age bias among people on in computer science. There is. I think I saw a tweet which seemed to imply people over 30 were past it, but there we go. Yeah. So yes, Linkstumps, the UI playground is very useful. So Mixer said pensions going up in Denmark where you live. 23 probably. You'll retire when you're 150. Yeah, can people get jobs when I don't know. If I was to lose my job now, would I get another job? Even with my experience, it doesn't. Would someone employ me? I just don't know. It's worrying. So Linkstumps, your dad had to retire at 64. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It's all very well, raising the retirement age, but if you can't be employed, if the people won't employ you, and getting rid of age bias is really, really important, super important, really. And I mean, there's kind of arguments that older workers kind of keep younger people out of jobs, but I don't think that's really the case because there's an awful lot of experience that can be passed on from the older generation, really. Maybe we all become consultants, I don't know. So Lucas, since you know the possible slot values, is it possible just to put that into the model instead? That way I shouldn't only return those values to you. Yes, so we do. When we originally started to build this whole model, this whole skill, we did actually have it come back and say the name that you said. So if it interpreted as Def Cheddar, it would say Def Cheddar back. So there is value in doing that, yeah. But at the moment we don't do that because the SoundX really kind of smooths all that for us, and it also teaches the proper name back. So if you said if it'll pronounce the correct name back to you, especially if you've got there's one of the streamer in the database is noopcat. So is it noopcat or is it noopcat? So we can say noopcat and noopcat and we'll still get the right streamer. But one of the things I'd like to put into the database is for the streamer to say how they want you to say their name. So I've no idea if noopcat or noopcat, which of those two is the correct one. I suspect it's noopcat, but who knows? Maybe the person didn't say that. Same with things like looking over Slevin. It's not. He's got the number 7, the numeral 7 in his handle. So it's really difficult to to know how someone's going to pronounce that. And I haven't really come up with a solution for that particular name yet. There are some solutions, but I haven't actually implemented anything to try them out. Chris, the company where you work in the UK are very much in favour of having, dare I say it, an older workforce. I believe we've recently hired someone on our apprenticeship who's in their 50s or 60s. Oh, that's really good. So, just as we shouldn't have gender bias, we shouldn't have age bias, we also shouldn't have personality bias. There's a lot of companies where if you're an introvert like me, then you won't go anywhere. But a company completely made of extroverts is unbalanced, just in the way if it's all men. So you've got to have that balance of personalities, genders, ages, the whole kind of gamut really, in order to have a properly inclusive and balanced workforce. So Mixer, you say, when you studied web development at school, you used to think the technologies we were taught was all you needed, but there's so much more than knowing how to code or program. The experience you get from having been in the business for many years is unbeatable. Knowledge and experience to understand clients' needs can't really be taught. Now, I know where you're coming from there. A lot of that experience, it can only be gained by actually failing as well, and that's another thing that people shouldn't be afraid really to try something and fail. I've worked in blame cultures where where there was one instance I remember I was sat there and there was a database issue and I could fix the issue or we could go to backups, and the managing director or the director kind of sat over my shoulder and I said, well, I can fix it with this, and he says, if you get it wrong, you're fired. So I said, okay, go back to backups, because I wasn't going to take the risk, but that meant that the production line was down for hours while we did the backups. So yeah. So yeah, there's all kinds of funny things going in the workspace, isn't there? Lucas Wonderly, thank you very much for the follow. Very kind of you. That's wonderful. Oh, what happened to Plins? He got timed out for 5 minutes. You're still there, Plins? I don't know. So I don't know what you said. But Nightbot just seemed to have fallen out with you there. So do let me know. Do let me know. Yeah, don't work in a blame culture. If you sense that your workplace or a future workplace is going to be a blame culture, then get out. Honestly, yeah, it's the worst thing. The worst thing in the world. You need to work in a place where making mistakes is the way you learn, isn't it? It's the way you learn stuff. Obviously, you have to kind of calculate the risk, and you don't just do things on your own. You talk to your team and to your boss, and you say, these are the risks of doing that, and you make a decision. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, let's get on. Let's see if we can finish this off. So we've got there. So we've got our get channel by name, and we're going to pass into there our standardized name and the user time zone. User time zone. Okay. Don't like the name, but we'll call it matching channel for now. And we're going to pass that into here. This is going to be an await. Going to be an async. Okay, so get next stream response. So that's here. Let's uncomment this code. We're going to have to rewrite a lot of it. Okay. So I see. We don't need the time zone anymore. We just need channel model. Okay, so let's just test that. Oops. So we've got our channel. Fix that namespace up. The name is channel.name. So we don't need to do any of this stuff here. Okay, so we need to go back to our query. So we haven't got the right query. Okay, so what we want to know is we don't want to know the schedule, we want to know the next stream. And that is going to be the local start time or local end time. Rumbling Geek, you hosted me, thank you very much. At least I got the host alert. Didn't get that raid earlier, which is a bit weird. Yeah, let's see what we get here. Okay, so this time we need to kind of change our query slightly. Eggshkin, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. I've not seen you here before. Do join in with chat. Let us know something about yourself. Obviously, no obligation. That you don't have to if you don't want to. So now we're going to use this query, and so this is dev chatter, and their next stream is going to be tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the UK, because we're passing in Europe, London as a time zone, which is correct. So this is the query we actually want. Let's grab that instead and go over to here to our GraphQL Client, and then we'll paste that in instead, because that's what we actually want to do. We want to know when their next stream is going to be, which is going to be held in this next stream part, and we want this local start time. And because we're using the API now and we're passing our time zone in, we haven't got to do a lot of this manipulation. So in here, a lot of this is all about getting future streams and things like that, and converting the time zones. See, we got time zone conversion going on here with Noda time. So we don't need to do that because we've pushed all the responsibility for all that onto the Deadstreams project, and it's all taken care of in the GraphQL queries. Okay, so this is channel.id. We don't actually need the ID, so we can come through and get rid of some of these. So next stream is here. So next stream is going to be channel.nextstream, and so that could be null, couldn't it? So we don't need to do any of this, any of that anymore. So next stream time format is that. So if so this is null. Yeah. If next stream is not null, then next stream. So we want the time, the zoned date time. So we don't need to look in the database of time zones anymore. This is going to be equal to next stream dot local start time. That simplifies things tremendously. That's no longer the definition of next stream. Looks like we've actually repeated ourselves here. So we can get rid of that. We get a nice short short method. So zoned date time is that. Next formatted. Else you could not find it. Could not find channel in my database. So that should be it, really, shouldn't it? Yep. I think that just about covers that task. Okay, let's do a build and make sure that we're okay. Let's quickly check the chat. So I've missed a bit of chat going on here, but so links on should have as a bank manager. Keep the peace. You would give everyone a good review. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that though. You got to be. See, I was actually talking about annual reviews. Are you annual appraisals? The thing about appraisals is, as a manager, you can kind of get them really wrong. So you can do that. You can just give everyone a good review, but you're not being honest to the person you're reviewing, and you're not being fair to their colleagues. So if you find someone who's got there are issues with their work, you've got to call that out to them, and you've got to have frank and honest discussions with them about that kind of stuff. It can be very hard. It can be very, very, very difficult conversations. But if both of you kind of approach those conversations in the right mindset, then they can be very positive, even if they are, even if there's issues. Because as a manager, it's not only your job to point out that somebody's not doing as well; it's also your responsibility to help them to get better. Then the employee has to actually take that on board and improve. But it's the manager's responsibility to make sure that everyone knows where they stand, where they can improve, where they're doing well, and then to help those people to kind of get over their shortcomings, if that's the right word. It's especially difficult with more senior people. It can get very difficult with people who tend to be regarded as kind of rock star programmers. It can get very hard. But in the end, unless you are kind of almost ruthlessly fair and honest with people, then it will come home and bite you, because then you'll find that the good staff, the solid staff, will leave because they feel that they're not being recognised and they're not being treated in the same way. Yes, so day to day. So one thing that we do at our work is we have one-to-ones, and they're supposed to be once a month. Right? I think, well, what's the point in having a separate meeting for one-to-one? Every time I talk to my kind of staff, my people, my team, that's a one-to-one. When we say good morning in the morning, that's kind of part of a one-to-one. So it's more difficult these days when we're a distributed team. So I tend to work from home quite a bit. That's when you have to find ways of keeping your finger on the pulse of how your staff are. And so Fuel Stable, you're saying that one of your biggest regrets is when you chickened out to giving proper feedback. It's so important. You'll just run into trouble if you don't. It may take months, it may take years, but that trouble will come back to you. Mixer, thank you for joining us. Yes, it's getting late. I should be finishing fairly soon, but thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Did you follow? I can't remember. I think you did. Thank you for that, and we'll see you next time, perhaps. So normally there would be a stream on Wednesday, but that Wednesday stream won't happen because I've got family commitments. It's my 4-year-old granddaughter's birthday, her 4th birthday on Wednesday. So I will try and schedule something else this week, but it'll either have to be tomorrow or Thursday, and I'm not sure that we'll get one in, but never mind. Okay, so let's publish this and give it a go. Then we'll pretty much be done for the evening then. let's publish it up there. Thank you very much, Mixer. She's a cutie, she really is. So Linksumps, one guy I would have gotten rid of if he was on a longer employment period. Yeah, so I've had a number of situations where people have fortuitously left before they got kind of pushed. Thank you very much, Rolling Geek. Yeah, she's yeah, she's a sweetheart. She really is, and she's I'll be working, but my wife and her mother are taking her to off to the Lego adventure. It should be quite fun for them. Like kind of just a big pile of Lego in the room, I think, which I'd have loved as a kid. Did I publish that? Can't remember. I did. Let's give it a go anyway. Let's give it a go. Here's the echo. It's just okay. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Dev Chatter streaming next?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, that sounds like we got an issue, but we'll try once again because sometimes it doesn't work first time. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Dev Chatter streaming next?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, so we have got an issue there, so let's see if we can sort that out before the end of the stream. What I'm going to do is bring it over to the logs. Let's try again and see what our logging says. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Dev Chatter streaming next?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, let's just switch that echo off. So here we've got the results. So you can see we came into our skill here. We picked up a time zone of Europe, London. Then we the method or operation not implemented. Okay, so I wonder if I actually did publish. Almost as if it's not published, isn't it? Let's try once more. It says published down there though. Let's just have a quick check, because I just got it ridiculously wrong. So get next stream response. There's no wait. Let's just get rid of the ID. We don't need that. We don't need it to be async anymore because we're not doing anything with the asynchronously. So get. Oh, here we are. Look, I've still got that in there. So it's throwing that error was perfectly correct. Now we need to return response. So we never went back and had a look. Let's just make sure everything's okay in here. It looks fine. We can get rid of that. Tidy up our usings. Let's publish that again. So no dramas on that one then. So we know exactly why we had a failure. So rambling, what do our family think of me streaming? So it's just me and my wife in the house. My wife's been very supportive. But she's currently kind of sat upstairs having a read of a book. And then the reason why I chose to stream on a Monday at 9 o'clock is because I think I've told this story before. She normally goes out and visits a friend, but her friend's shift patterns changed and she's no longer going out on a Monday. So yeah, it's a bit weird, but everything seems to be okay at the moment with that one. The early stream normally takes place on a Wednesday. She's out at her mother's then. Her mother's 91. She goes around and kind of and visits her and gives her something to eat. But I'm starting to think that the Wednesday at 4 o'clock is a bit too early, so I may have to shift it, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, so let's try again. So Alexa, ask live coding, when is Dev Chatter streaming next?
Dev Chatter will be streaming next on Tuesday, April 23rd at 7 p.m.
So you can see we got the right answer, and it's also it was in our time zone. So I'm in the UK, so it came back as 7 in the evening, which it will be in my time. So your mileage will vary with that query. So we've actually got it all working, and what we've managed to do is to strip out all of the kind of Dapper code that we had in here. We've got to a nice strongly typed client, which we can add to, and it all looks pretty good. So, and these methods, this one here is now what this controller class is now 150, was it? 150 lines long, which isn't too bad, given it's got quite a lot of stuff to do in terms of all these intents. And we've refactored our responses out into their own static class, and that's now just pretty much the same, 140, 150 lines long. And what we could do with doing is kind of getting rid of all these hard-coded strings and putting those into resources. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool, Emily. I agree. We kind of come full circle. We started off kind of 19 episodes ago, working on an API, a simple web API with JWT bearer token security. We then kind of built on the API idea and built the Alexa skill. We then went into GraphQL for an alternative to REST, and now we've kind of married all those concepts together. We've got a secure, it's not JWT bearer tokens, but it's a secure endpoint which uses GraphQL to interrogate the Deadstreams database through GraphQL API. And we can start to extend this. So one of the things that I thought we could do is on these cards. So we got this response builder, which uses the builder pattern to come up with a response. So it's going to say some text and it's going to write a simple card out. We can start to add some information to this. So for example, we can put the URI of the stream, and we can put the schedule of the stream on there. So maybe we'll kind of cover that next time when we can expand on these queries. Currently getting live channels, I'm bringing back the schedule, you see, but we're not actually using it. Maybe we should try to do something with that so that it'll display it. So on the response here, we write a simple card and we say streaming now. We could give more information about the streamer. Okay, there's just one more feature I'd just like to point out, which is new from the last time we spoke about this this skill, is we have now something called a fallback intent. This is a built-in intent, and what happens is if it can't decide what the query is what you're asking about, it falls back. Okay, so it will execute the fallback intent. So what we do here with the execute fallback intent is basically we just give a response, the fallback response. And what I've done with that response, I've made it kind of semi-smart. So what we do is we assume that the main reason it would have fallen back is if it couldn't determine what went into the channel slot. So it couldn't determine in your speech what the channel name was that you said. Okay, so it's going to assume that you are asking about a particular channel, and it's going to ask you to confirm the channel that you asked about. So let's try that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say to the echo, I'm going to say when is streaming next. I'm going to give a pause in there where the name of the stream would go, and we're going to see if it asks me to confirm what the channel name I'm asking for is. So let's give that a go. If that works, and it should do, if it does work, then we'll kind of close the stream on that kind of high. So let's try that. Alexa, ask live coding, when is streaming next? So we had a failure there, so let's try again. Alexa, ask live coding, when is streaming next? We often get this issue. It'll probably fail now. Working with the Alexa device is quite interesting sometimes. Alexa, see, it fails now.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
Alexa, ask live coding, when is streaming next?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Yeah, so it's not picking this up at the moment. So I have had it working. Alexa, ask live coding, when is streaming next?
Sorry, which streamer are you asking about?
DevChatter.
DevChatter will be streaming next on Tuesday, April 23rd at 7 p.m.
So there we had a success in the end. Sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss with this device. It's a lot better using an actual Echo than it is using the test system, which is built into the skill kit, which we've kind of used several times on the channel. So if you want to look up how we kind of use the test system, then just check out previous videos. So let's go over to. I'm just going to go off stream a second, and I'm going to bring up. I'm going to bring up the Amazon site, and we're going to just check the certification status of our skill. Okay, so here we are. The skill kit. Here's that skill. We'll edit that. Over here we've got certification, and as you can see, we can submit a functional test and we can run that. So this is going to just do some quick automated testing. So yes, that's a good question, Grumbling Geek said, could we have a say tomorrow at 7 PM? So being aware what the day is now is a really good idea. Then we could say, no, tomorrow, or if it's not tomorrow, then we can give the day. That's a really good suggestion. I think we should look at that. So the functional tests here are running away, and this should come back clean. It'll just take a little while to run through all the automated tests. Can't go off the screen, unfortunately, otherwise it will cancel the test run. Oh, it says you can navigate away. Okay, we'll check back in a second. Over on distribution page, you can see we've got given our stream our skill a name. We've got some text in there. We do need to do a privacy policy, and a terms of use URL in here. So I've got to go and look up how to write those. I think we're okay there. That's the US and the UK version. So we've answered all these questions about privacy. So we're not going to, there's no money involved. We're not using personal information. We're just using the device time zone. We're not directly targeting children under 13. There's no advertising. We can import and export this from the United States, and provided some testing instructions here. I need to expand on some of these instructions here. So the functional tests are ready for review. Results. 0 errors found. And over here are 2 fixes required. The skill endpoint is not accepting valid signed requests. That's very interesting. So it looks like I need to investigate that. It's just really kind of strange in that it has passed functional tests. I think tweet about it passing all its functional tests, but I'll check that out off stream. But we're pretty much there, I think, in terms of being almost ready to submit all this for certification. Okay, so what's the time now? It's now nearly 25 past 11. Let's see if we can find someone to raid. And I would like to thank everyone who's stuck with the stream since 9. It's been great to have you all here. But let's find someone to raid, shall we? So if anyone has any preferences, because I have a fairly limited number of channels in my follow list here, so I don't have anybody.
I've done it for that long.
Let's get off that. I don't have anyone in my list who's live. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. That's much appreciated. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and so we do various things. Today has been a bit of a weird one, really, in that I think I'm just pretty tired. So there's been a few kind of weird kind of errors that we've come across, but I've got nobody here in my list to. I don't know what these people are. You see, there's the science and technology one down here. I don't want to take you anywhere you don't want to go. So it looks like if we can't find anyone to raid, I'll close the stream there. So thanks very much for viewing. As I say, I will try and sorry, you've got some Lana Lux game dev. Okay, well let's raid Lana Lux then, shall we? As I was saying, there's no stream on Wednesday, unfortunately, but I will try and organise something if I can, either tomorrow or Friday or Thursday. But I'm not going to promise anything, I'm afraid. So your suggestions? It's a game, is it? Metal Gear Solid, is that a game? Yeah, we don't want to necessarily go to a game. But if there's another developer or maybe a creative, something like that, we can go to that. So let's raid Lana Lux. So if you want to stay with that and go and see what she does, just stay where you are. Otherwise, I will see you next Monday, if there's no pop-up stream in between. And next Monday, the plan is to have Mark Miller as our special guest. So Mark Miller, Code Rushed, the streamer, is going to be giving me a quick tutorial on the Code Rush productivity tool. We're going to be working in our bot for that. The bot hasn't been in the stream today, so because he's currently connected to Slack and Discord. But so if you want to see Lana, then sit tight. Otherwise, I'll see you. Thank you very much for having Geeks. Thank you, Chris, and we'll see you. So. Yeah, we'll see you next week for our special guest. Do take care, everyone. Have a great week.